Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Pan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. A late rally lifts the Lal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty reversed losses in the last hour, ending in the green. Bank stocks lead the recovery. M&M beats estimates in Q3, even as unseasonal rains dent tractor sales. The automaker increases its market share across segments. That's M&M for you in Q3. Shares of Paytm hitting the lower circuit once again. Sources say investigative agencies, including the Enforcement Directorate, have initiated preliminary inquiries. Investor wealth worth 1.2 lakh crore rupees wiped out in the last 27 months since listing. Hope for Vedanta's copper smelter plant in Tuticorin. The Supreme Court proposes a special committee to prescribe safeguards to resume operations at the plant. The Tamil Nadu government argues against the move, citing repeated violations by Vedanta. SpiceJet delays salaries, TDS and PF payments to employees amidst a liquidity crunch. Sources say investors are apprehensive over the proposed fundraise and lessors are wary of extending aircraft leases due to delayed payments. SpiceJet says it's confident of meeting all the payment deadlines. That's an exclusive. The Civil Aviation Ministry directs Adani Group run Mumbai International Airport to cut flights to reduce congestion, highlights excessive slot distribution, non-adherence by airlines and non-scheduled flights during peak hours. The government says they had to step in as the airport management did not take proactive measures. Chaos at the Punjab-Haryana border. 10 farmers injured after Haryana Police fired tear gas in a bid to stop their protest march to Delhi. Large numbers of security personnel deployed across all possible entry points to Delhi, with barricades laid out to stop the entry of protesting farmers. A Hamas delegation in Cairo to meet Egyptian and Qatari mediators for the Gaza ceasefire talks. Israel delegation held talks yesterday. Families of hostages head to the International Criminal Court to file a crimes against humanity complaint against Hamas. Prime Minister Modi addresses the World Government Summit in Dubai, says the world needs governments that are inclusive and take everyone along, says the Indian government has been following the mantra of minimum government, maximum governance. Veteran Congress leader Sonia Gandhi files her Rajya Sabha nomination papers from Rajasthan. The Biju Janata Dal says it will support BJP nominee Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav's candidature from Odisha. Former Maharashtra CM Ashok Chavan, who left the Congress on Monday and joined the BJP, gets a Rajya Sabha ticket. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif nominates his brother Shehbaz Sharif to be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. Imran Khan's PTI alleges election rigging and launches nationwide protests. Well, let's start with the market action. Stocks were subdued across the world after the US inflation came in higher than estimates. However, European markets started to reverse losses, and that did rub off on India as well. A last-hour recovery saw the Lal Street ending at the high point of the day. The Sensex and the Nifty ended 0.5% higher, so the Nifty finally closing at 21,840. SBI saw a gain of about 4.5%. Today, Reliance Industries 1% higher, and the Nifty Bank up by about 400 points. The Nifty Bank rising 3%, as you can see, off its intraday lows. SBI and Reliance, the top contributors to the Nifty. Mid-caps did outperform, ending over 1% higher. That's the stock market action for you. India's wholesale price inflation for January easing to a 3-month low as prices of essential items like food, fuel and power moderated. Data from the Commerce Ministry shows that the highest fall in inflation was witnessed in manufactured products, followed by fuel and power. Now, in earnings, Mahindra & Mahindra posted a strong Q3, exceeding expectations on all parameters. Net profit up 61% year-on-year, with revenue rising 18% for the quarter. The auto giant has also seen an improvement in its market share across segments. However, unseasonal rains took a toll on the tractor sales, with farm equipment sector margins falling by 80 basis points. The big story this evening, shares of Paytm's parent company 197 Communications hitting the lower circuit again today. The stock has more than halved since RBI's directive on the 31st of January. Now, Paytm's valuation has eroded by over 1.2 lakh crore rupees since listing, with the stock down 84% from its IPO price. Meanwhile, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that investigative agencies, including the Enforcement Directorate, have initiated preliminary inquiries. Timsy is standing by with more details. Timsy.
Well, that's right. What sources are indicating to us is the fact that investigative agencies, including ED, have initiated preliminary inquiry against Paytm Payments Bank. When we reached out to the Paytm Payments Bank, the Paytm spokesperson has told CNBC-TV18, and I quote, In reference to inquiries and investigations by the Enforcement Directorate and other regulatory authorities, we would like to refer you to our clarification issued on 5th of February on matters pertaining to 197 Communications Limited and its associate Paytm Payments Bank Limited. We may be asked to furnish information and explanations by different regulatory and law enforcement authorities, including ED, and we have always complied with the requirements dutifully by furnishing the requisite information and explanations, end of quote. Just to give a background and remind our viewers that the Reserve Bank of India on 31st January had prohibited Paytm Payments Bank from accepting deposits and top-ups in customer accounts, prepaid instruments, wallets and FASTags effective from February 29, 2024. So we'll have to wait and watch for as to what happens after these preliminary inquiries are done, whether Enforcement Directorate actually goes ahead and registers a case under either FEMA or PMLA. And yes, what is the view that the Reserve Bank takes on February 29th? Something that we'll have to wait and watch for. Back to you.
Okay, Timsy, many thanks for joining us. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank has directed card networks like Visa and MasterCard to pause commercial card-based payments. We learned from sources the central bank's concerns could have emerged from payments done at merchant outlets who've not properly complied with KYC norms. Ritu is standing by now to explain what this means. Ritu, so KYC coming back to haunt the financial ecosystem again. Take us through what this means, what the implications are.
Well, I think, Shireen, KYC is going to haunt the fintechs for a long time to come, until and unless, of course, they're properly complied with these norms, and RBI is going to continue to ensure that that is the process. But in this case, we've been given to understand that, RBI has directed Visa and MasterCard to pause all card-based commercial payments made by corporates and businesses and ensure that all business payment service provider, or what is typically called BPSP transactions, are kept in abeyance until further notice, in a move that could impact certain fintechs that process such B2B transactions. Now, what exactly are these BSP transactions? Essentially, they allow corporates and businesses to make payments to their small vendors or suppliers through commercial cards instead of your traditional net banking channel like RTGS. Now, why use a card instead of net banking? That is because your commercial cards, just like we have our retail credit and debit cards, except these are for businesses, they offer you rewards, longer repayment cycles, etc., and therefore they are more attractive for corporates to use than your regular banking channels. Now, all cards, including these commercial cards, can only be issued by banks as per RBI norms, but fintechs come in the picture when payments have to be made to vendors or small businesses that are not authorized to accept such commercial card payments. So in this case, a corporate or a business may use a fintech to disburse payments to these vendors that they have to pay through their commercial card, or in other cases, fintechs could even have co-branded commercial cards with other banks that they could be offering to merchants to make these payments. Now, the issue emerges, however, that the dispersal of money through these commercial cards is happening to vendors or for rent payment or whatever the corporates are doing, and they may not have gone through proper KYC because, they're not authorized to accept these payments at the end in several instances, and therefore, banks and fintechs may not have visibility on the flow of the money through this card, and that could lead to some issues where KYC, anti-money laundering concerns arise. And according to industry sources that we spoke to, that could be a potential reason why RBI may have asked such transactions to be paused. So who is this going to impact? Number one, fintechs, of course, and there are ones like, you have your Encash, Paymate that specifically do these kind of B2B transactions. They will be most hit. For banks, this will be a very small part of the business, really. But, largely the message is, given the recent developments at Paytm Payment Bank, RBI appears to be exercising caution to ensure that KYC protocols are rigorously followed and that the financial system remains safeguarded from any misuse.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. Now, Zee Entertainment's Managing Director, Puneet Goenka, has said the company could be looking at layoffs in a bid to meet its guidance for the coming quarter. Speaking in an earnings call, Goenka said Zee will also review its business portfolio after Sony pulled the plug on the $10 billion proposed merger between the two entities. Meanwhile, Sony's Global Chief Operating Officer said that the company will actively pursue other opportunities to replace its deal with Sony. Both Zee and Sony are locked in a legal battle over that proposed mega merger. IT major Wipro acquiring a majority stake in US-based insurtech firm Agne Global for $66 million. The company's picked up a 60% stake with the option to purchase the rest over a period of time. The tech firm said the acquisition will give it access to capabilities and intellectual property in the property and casualty insurance space. Nazara Technology subsidiary Nodwin Gaming will acquire 100% ownership in Ninja Global. The Ninja Global has assets in esports and gaming, production in the Middle East and Turkey. The acquisition will strengthen Nodwin Gaming's global emerging market delivery network and help it expand into Central Asia. The deal comes after the recent acquisition of games marketing services company PublishMe in October. Nazara Tech stock was down 0.5% today. There might be some hope for Vedanta's copper smelter in Tamil Nadu. The Supreme Court has proposed a special committee to explore the possibility of restarting operations at the plant. The court has said that the nation cannot lose out on this asset as there are very few copper smelters in India. Remember, the plant was ordered to be shut in 2018 after allegations of gas leakages. Ashmit is standing by now with the details. Ashmit, the Supreme Court virtually saying that this plant needs to be up and running.
Indeed, interesting words falling from none other than the Chief Justice himself. For one, he observed that as far as the national interest is concerned, the Supreme Court needs to watch out for that, points out that there are very few copper smelters in the country, goes on to, in fact, urge the Tamil Nadu government to consider this proposal for a committee, going on to say that all parties need to look at a win-win situation. At one point, the CJI even observing that by the look of things, Tamil Nadu government is not allergic to Vedanta and therefore should consider this proposal for this expert committee. So what is this proposal? What the Apex Court is saying, is proposing to both the sides, is that number one, there be an expert committee comprising of the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, the Central Pollution Control Board, IIT professors, three independent experts, also NEERI. That's the broad composition of the expert committee that the Supreme Court is suggesting. Subsequently, the terms of reference that the Supreme Court has proposed is that, one, it will look at whether or not such a plant is viable in the area it is present in, which is in Tuticorin district of Tamil Nadu, what it will take for resuming of operations. Number two, what the safeguard should be, what the conditions need to be to ensure that the local environment and the local people are secured. And number three, repatriations, if any, that Vedanta would need to pay in light of any possible environmental damages that get proven at a later date. So these are the broad terms of reference. The Supreme Court is firm and has suggested to the Tamil Nadu government that despite its reservations, despite its conduct in terms of closing down the plant, there needs to be a win-win situation here, observing that even if Vedanta were to sell out and if a new party were to take hold, even they would need state support to go ahead and to resume operations at this facility, which the Supreme Court says is in national interest. So time being given to all sides to consider this proposal, this suggestion from the top court.
Many thanks, Ashmit, for joining us. The big national story, farmers' march to Delhi continues despite police crackdown. The protesting unions had declared a ceasefire last night but resumed their march, claiming that the government was not listening to their demands. 10 farmers have been injured after the Haryana Police used tear gas to disperse the crowds. Tear gas was used by drones that were deployed in the area. Farmers have adopted a new strategy of flying kites to counter drones deployed to drop tear gas. Internet services have been suspended in some areas of Punjab till the 16th of February. Hospitals in Haryana have been put on alert after the clash between farmers and the police at the Shambu border yesterday. Security has been beefed up at all Delhi borders to stop the farmers from entering the capital. However, this has led to massive traffic jams. Farmers' demands include an MSP guarantee for 23 crops and a waiver of their debt. The government has made a fresh proposal to hold discussion with farmers. Danish Anand joins us now from the Delhi-Haryana Tikri border with the latest. Danish.
Well, right now I'm present at the Tikri border, which connects Delhi to Haryana through National Highway number 10. And as you can see in the visuals, I'll just show it to you. As you can see right behind me, there is a heavy security deployment. Besides that, you can see that the security forces here have used a lot of concrete material in order to create temporary blockage. And you can see that there is barbed wire that is also present so that no one can cross it. But this is the Delhi end where I'm standing right now. On this side, you can see the security deployment. As far as the total security deployment is concerned, on the Delhi border side, Delhi Police is present, RAF is present, CRPF is present, and on the other side, on the Haryana side, Haryana Police is there along with the Rapid Action Force and ITBP officials. Well, so overall, if we see, there is a heavy security deployment that has been done in order to prevent any kind of move by the farmers. As of now, this entire area is completely peaceful. There is not presence of any farmer in and around the Tikri border, but the government and the security officials are ensuring that just in case if farmers try to barge into Delhi from the Tikri border side, they are well ready. And as far as some more blockages are concerned, the entire area has several diversions, which is also creating issues for the common man. And moreover, we can also see that the efforts that are being done by the security officials in order to create these barricades, we are also seeing that a lot of concrete material is being used in order to fortify a particular concrete material. Moreover, we have also seen that there are several truck trailers that have been filled with sand in order to create more blockade. And as far as the conversation between the farmers and government is concerned, as of now, there is no update. The farmers are also anticipating that the government would do another round of talks. So all in all, if we see, security has been beefed up in all across all Delhi borders, and we are waiting for a word from either from the government side or from the farmer side to really understand that when the next dialogue between the government and farmers will take place.
All right, Danish, many thanks for joining us. That's the latest there at the Delhi-Haryana border. Time for us to head into a break. Up next, SpiceJet delays salaries, TDS and PF payments to employees amidst a liquidity crunch. That and more when we return. A quick check of the global headlines that we are tracking this evening. The Gaza ceasefire talks appear to have fallen apart once again. The Israeli delegation has left the dialogue in Cairo over disagreements on the terms of the ceasefire. Hamas delegation will meet Egyptian and Qatari mediators. Over 100 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, families of Israeli hostages have approached the International Court of Justice against Hamas and their crimes against humanity. Ukrainian forces claim to have destroyed the Russian Navy's large landing ship off the coast of Crimea in the Black Sea. The military has said it has destroyed Russia's naval ship, which was on Ukrainian territorial waters with naval drones. However, Russian Navy is yet to confirm if the ship has in fact been destroyed. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League and Bilawal Bhutto's Pakistan People's Party have reached a deal to form a six-party coalition. This comes after no single party gained a majority in last week's national elections. The two parties had earlier formed a coalition in 2022 to oust Imran Khan, who's now in jail on account of multiple alleged corruption cases. Nawaz Sharif has nominated his younger brother, Shehbaz Sharif, for the post of Prime Minister. Imran Khan's party has alleged election rigging and has announced nationwide protests. Back home, airlines have been forced to cancel several flights after the government directed the Mumbai International Airport to reduce flight movements on the runway. The aviation ministry said it was forced to act as the Mumbai airport was giving excess slots to airlines, causing congestion at the airport. The ministry has justified the action, saying aircraft hover over the Mumbai airspace for as long as 60 minutes, causing a wastage of fuel and inconveniencing passengers. The airport has been ordered to restrict air traffic movements during peak hours from 46 to 44 per hour and 44 to 42 during non-peak hours. The decision also impacts business aircraft movement. The no-fly curfew on such flights has been increased from 4 hours to 8 hours. The decision is likely to face opposition from the business community. More on aviation, and here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. SpiceJet has delayed the salary, TDS and PF payments to employees, once again indicating a liquidity crunch. Sources say investors are apprehensive over the proposed fundraise and lessors are wary of extending the aircraft leases due to delayed payments. However, SpiceJet tells CNBC-TV18 it is confident of meeting all payment deadlines. Madiha standing by with the details. Madiha.
Well, the last few years haven't been easy for SpiceJet, especially after COVID. Not only did the market share fell from around 15% in 2019 to 5.5% in 2023, we've also seen the airline embroiled in many legal battles over non-payment of dues. There are several factors that point to a liquidity crunch here. To start with, the airline hasn't paid January salaries to several employees. There's an alarming delay in clearing statutory dues. The airline hasn't deposited TDS for the first 10 months of FY24, even after deducting the money from employees' salary every month. Then the PF has also not been deposited. The Provident Fund amount was deposited only, has not been deposited since December 2021. That's a huge delay of 2 years. Then the tax senior employees also face tax department's action due to late filing of income tax returns. The airline, as I mentioned, has not deposited PF and Coming to the fundraise plan, the airline has told us that it has completed the 744 crore fund infusion in the first tranche. But what we learn from sources is the airline has received only half of the 744 crores that it announced it has received in the first tranche. It has also initiated the process to raise the remaining 1,000 crores. Then the airline, as we learn, has also initiated. Let's look at the capacity of the airline. The fleet has reduced from 100 aircraft in 2019. The fleet has reduced from 100 aircraft in 2019 to 42 aircraft now. We learn from sources that lessors are unwilling to extend their leases due to non-payment of dues. And the airline, however, refuses. It says that leases have been continuing and they are continuing to pay lessors, and there is no such delay on the airline's part. So while the ground realities showcase a worrying trend, the airline continues to remain very confident.
All right, Madhya, many thanks for joining us. The digital space will contribute 57% of ad revenue this year. That's the word in from advertising firm GroupM's annual India report. The report highlights that the rest of the advertising revenue after digital verticals will be followed by TV, securing 29%, and print media will receive 10%. Shibani Garat caught up with GroupM India's CEO Prashant Kumar on the ad trends for 2024.
PK, advertising revenue in India is expected to grow at 10.2% at 155,386 crore this year. What are some of the factors driving this growth, PK?
Yeah, great. So 10.2 is a Feb update, right? And actually a lot of it, actually. And I think a lot of trends are moving into that direction. We're seeing a few categories actually fueling this. So one is the entire auto category, the reality, the retail, and I think the entire bunch of the SME category is actually fueling that, right? We also see some of the way it can play down is we may have a much more stronger first half related to last year, right? So the base is last year, but at the same time we have IPL and the World Cup happening in the first half itself that can actually play it. So some of this actually will fuel more, right? It's also interesting to see some of the, different, mini categories playing in different, media side, right? So we have the commerce actually fueling growth there. We have the CTV aspect growing there, right? And this actually fuels growth there. And of course, the source coming from SME is also adding to the growth as such.
Well, the trends for ad revenue growth, that's Prashant Kumar of GroupM. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. More details continue after this break. Stay tuned. You're watching CNBC TV18.